Hey everybody. I decided I was gonna get on here and pull some oracle cards. This is Dalo. Dalo, for everybody that hasn't met Dalo, this is my amazing cat. He's wonderful. I rescued Dalo back in 2019 in August, and I'm so grateful for him. And God, Dalo's been with me through so much. He really helped me going through COVID. I lost one of my old sponsees. I found passed away, no longer with us. During COVID, my mentor passed away 24 hours after that, and Dalo helped me through all of that. He just sat with me and supported me, and I'm so grateful for him. I do counseling and coaching, and this is what he likes to do. You can talk to people that have worked with me, and he just likes to sit and be a part of, and he's been amazing, and I'm so grateful that he wants to sit here with us. So I think that brings up a cool conversation, like the different animals in your life, and the opportunity to connect with them and talk with them. I hadn't really seen a hummingbird in a long time, and I saw one come like through my carport, and so I bought a hummingbird feeder. And then I didn't do the measurements correctly in the feeder from water to sugar, and it was so funny. Like I talked to ChatGPT about it too. I was like, so if they don't stay long, is that indication that your measurements are off? And are they able to understand when the measurements are off? And they can't. So I had to change out the water and put more sugar in it. And then the hummingbird stayed longer. It was so cool. And then something told me to just sleep on the couch. And I met, I'd never really seen a mockingbird, and I saw a mockingbird, and I got in my, that came through, like that was Yapa, and that's YAPA, and then another mockingbird started showing up, and they showed up at the same time every morning, and that was Ayala, and so it was so cool connecting with them. And then probably about a week or two later, then a cardinal showed up, and I named the cardinal Cardini. And so all three of these birds, and then I stopped sleeping on the couch as much, so I haven't seen them in a while, but it was really cool just connecting with them. And I had a ladybug, come into my life, and a lot of different lizards. It's just really cool, like noticing the animals that show up in your life, and just being able to thank them for being there is so cool. I've seen a hawk recently, and it's been so awesome. Oh my God, I love hawks. They're so cool. And I just love how they fly. I had never really heard one before, and there was one on the neighbor's roof right after I first moved in here, and I got to hear its calling. I got to hear the way it speaks, and that was so wild, because I don't think I had ever known how a hawk speaks. And so that was super cool. Then I took a plant medicine class, and that was really awesome because I have a aromatherapy business, and I'll share a little bit about that. I shared about this on my tape reel, but once again, I was just practicing on that, and I ended up just whatchamacalliting it, just scrapping it, right? Because it was just for me to practice. And this is more like my channel, you know? And so I got back from the beach, okay? And I had brought back water and sand, and I just thought that was so cool because I was having such an amazing time at the beach. And then so that's happening. So I have that when I get back to the house, and I'm looking at it, and it's so cool. Well, then I go over and I'm going to diffuse some oils. So I'm looking for my diffuser. Now, I have not used this diffuser since I moved in, and this is now 2022. Okay, so I've been at my home for almost 2 years, and I'm pulling out this diffuser, and I'm going to put oils in it. Well, I'm holding the oil, and it spilled on my hand, and I naturally just kind of looked at it, and I rubbed my fingers together, and I did this, and then I smelled it, and holy goodness gracious, man. I smell it, and it just, all I feel is love. Love beyond form. It's so cool. Like, I was like, wow. And I was like, well, let me get one of these other oils. And so I get the other oil, and my dear friend Serena, you know, she taught me the, like how you put it on these fingers, right? But I didn't know that back then. I know that now, right? Because it's it's the heart line, right? When you put it on your, oh God, what's this? On your, what finger is that? I don't know. I'm for some reason I'm drawing a blank on it, but I didn't know that then. So I was just putting on all my fingers, and so I get the other oil. And I'm doing that with the other oil, same thing. And then I was like, ooh. And then I mix it together, and I'm like, wow. Then it was like multiplied, right? And it was really cool because I've never made anything with aromatherapy. I've never experienced this before. Actually, that's not true. I had made a lotion with a spiritual woman and my best friend. We made a lotion together, and she used oils for that. But I have never personally done this, you know? And I actually have made a salt scrub with my best friend too, with oils. Anyways, so I had a little bit of experience, but not a lot. Like, I had never really made anything in bulk. I've never thought to make aromatherapy products, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, ooh, it'd be really cool to add the beach water I just brought home. And then I was like, no, because oil and water don't mix. And I was like, but I bet they do energetically. So I'm sharing my thought process with you. And then I'm like, no, I can't use beach water. It's so dirty, it's not clean. And I was like, oh my God, well, I can use Asheville natural rainwater. I had my 2 shaman neighbors. They're a couple, amazing couple. And, Brent and Olivia. And so I am thinking about how during one of their initiations, they were gathering water that hadn't hit the earth. And it was really wild because they were out of town and they wanted me to help gather some water. And it hadn't rained, and that whole entire thing was full that was so crazy. I couldn't even believe that happened. I was like, oh my God, it's sober trippy shit. I don't know, you know? But I know I walked out there and the whole thing was full and it hadn't rained. Anyways, so I digress. That situation happened. And then, so I'm like in this space where I'm like, okay, well maybe water that hadn't hit the ground would be cool. So I'm like, actual natural rainwater. I like 3s. So I was like, okay. And then I walked into the other room and I was like, do I have any other water? And I had holy water left over from Easter from so many years ago from the church I grew up in, which I love that church. And so I have that holy water. So I'm like, okay, that's my second water. And then I'm like, all right, I need a third water. So then I'm like looking into different places that have really cool water. And I was talking to one of my dear friends and she was like, what about water from the Sea of Galilee? Because I've had a connection to Yeshua. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. So I Google it. I find somebody in Egypt to send me water from the Sea of Galilee. So then I have the 3 waters. And then I was like, you know, had the different idea of what am I going to name it, right? So I came up with Drops of Essence. I was like, because it's like essence and then senses. Because it like opened up all my senses. And then it just has this really cool essence. So, and I like doing the, putting words together, like, sinceriously, right? So sincere and serious at the same time. I've been saying that for a very long time. And so just like this opportunity to like, to create this really cool name. So that's the name I came up with. So then I'm like, you know, I have friends that have done massage, so I knew about grapeseed oil. I learned that it was a carrier oil, you know, and then of course, coconut oil, because I decided to do salt scrubs as well. And then I got the Epsom salt and the different flavored Epsom salts. And then I started Googling how many drops of, you know, the oil, do you put in this? And then I made my first batch. And well, first what I did was I made a roller ball pen, because I didn't know what this was going to look like, right? So I just wanted to share it with one person to see, or, you know, 2 people. I shared it with my neighbors. And I was like, I don't even know, you know, and I told them the whole story of how it happened, how I came up with this idea. And they used it and they were like, oh my God, like I feel your medicine. This feels really, really good. You know, and I was like, really? And I was really excited about it because I didn't, you know, I'm just doing this. I'm going completely off intuition. And they loved it. And I was so excited. And so then I started working on labels, and my family works in the printing industry. So like, I know how to, you know, I know how to make stuff. And so I feel like my labels looked really good. I worked on the logo and I started making product. And then it was so cool. I shared my labels online, and one of my old co-workers was working for Element Tree Essentials in Asheville, and had me bring my products for them to see them at their warehouse. And so I brought products for them to like check out. They really liked them. And this woman this is so cool. Like I'm like, and I'm so grateful. Like I remember the story, like every single like bit of this story, because I was so excited about it, right? And so I meet Brittany Wells, and she's cool AF, right? So I'm thinking this is just a woman that works there. Like she's over here try my products too. And she's like, oh no, like, I'm a traveling masseuse, you know? I'm just seeing if I can make candles on the weekend, because this is a candle company too, right? And then they support a lot of local artists as well, and aromatherapy being one of those things. And she invites me to meet this spiritual group that she knows in Asheville. And it was really cool. So she connected me to that. I ended up going to the Friendsgiving. I met one of my dear friends, Dr. Kim Marie, there. I connected with a lot of like-minded people. It was super awesome. So all of that led me to be able to share my products in Elementary Essentials, where my line actually went into the store. And I was super excited about it. But then work picked up, like things picked up in my life. And, you know, this passion project of mine kind of fell by the wayside. But the big thing I wanted to do with Drops of Essence was a whole create your own. Because you got to remember, like, I'm a counselor, I'm a coach, and that is all person centered, right? And so I am looking so forward to the time where I launch the website, which I need to pay for the renewal of the subscription of it. I actually need to do that tonight. But what's so cool is I'm going to be launching a website to where you can go in and pick the things that you want in your product, whether it's a protection spray, whether it is a roller ball pen, or whether it is a salt scrub as well. So you can go in and pick everything that you want in it, including any of the waters. So I have tobacco water, I have rose water, I have the water from the Sea of Galilee, I have holy water, I have Asheville natural rainwater. So all of these different things you can pick to put into it. And that, I'm so excited about that. Like, I look forward to traveling to festivals to be able to do that, where it's like you have all the, like, where I'll probably have, if I'm doing the salt scrub, it will be like a base. It will have the coconut oil, it will have the either coconut oil or jojoba oil in it with the coconut oil. Also, I may do olive oil or avocado oil as well. And then you mix those together, okay? And then people will be able to add their drops into it and mix it up. Mix the oils and the waters that they want in there and take that product with them. And then the same with the roller ball pens. And like, the main thing is, you know, when I was making these products, I'm not a big singer, right? But I have been connected to so much gratitude, so much love, for the opportunity to have the experiences I've had in my life. So as I was creating these products, that is what I was feeling. Anytime I'm making these products, that is what I'm feeling. That's what I put into it, you know, because I'm so excited and so happy to have the honor to be able to make these products. And so I was guided to sing with them. And then the coolest thing happened with that. I went to my friend's Christmas party and I met a writer who was writing a book about sound and singing with sound and with water. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know anything about that, you know? So I've had all these very, very cool experiences to support this amazing opportunity to share these products, and I've been able to share them with people in the community, with my friends, and I've got really, really great feedback about it. So I'm super excited to share that. So to get back to the plant medicine, all's to say, I never, okay, I'm gonna liken this to the when I had herbal tea, okay? I never thought about the fact I could turn hot herbal tea into a sweet cold tea. I don't know why, but I just never thought about the fact that I could do that until I had one at Starbucks. I had a black tea that was cold and they could put simple syrup in it. And it was so amazing. I was so excited about it. Now, I'm going to relate that to plant medicine. I have never associated oils with plants. Even though it is, I just never did. And so when I took this plant medicine class, what's been so cool is I didn't really have any oils or anything. But what's been happening is plants, specific plants, are kind of like how the birds are coming into my life. Like the hummingbird and the mockingbird and the cardinal, right? The hawk. It's the same thing. It's like all of a sudden after taking this plant medicine class with Leanne, the coolest thing is happening. Like every couple of weeks there's a new plant like I'm super, super excited about. And then I'm learning about it and it's millions of years old. It's so freaking cool. So I always say like I'm sober tripping because I've been sober for over 17 and a half years now. And I said to God early on because I really enjoyed tripping. Like I tripped acid a lot, tripped a lot of shrooms when I wasn't sober. And so when I started having all these trippy experiences happen sober at the very beginning, for instance, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, all these cool things are happening. I was like, I don't know what this is about. And I was waiting to go in the DMV and she was like, Hillary, it's probably because you're sober or you're noticing it more because you're sober. I'll never forget this conversation I'm having with her, right? And then I walk into the DMV and they had sent me paperwork saying that I could have that breathalyzer in my car. So I had a breathalyzer in my car before I got sober. And it was a shit show. I constantly had to have the cab driver pick me up in the morning for work because I could never pass it, right? But then I get one after I get sober because I got another DUI and I had to get a breathalyzer again. It was so cool sober because it was super easy to have when I was sober, right? It's a whole different experience. Well, they sent me paperwork to the house that said I would have the breathalyzer in my car for a year, okay? And when I walk into the DMV, I'm like talking to the guy about it. I'm like, yeah, you know, the year's up and blah, 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 blase, blase. Or I was saying, you know, I'm supposed to have it in my car for a year. That's right, because I was actually getting it installed. And because I had just gotten, so I inherited money from my grandparents when they passed away. And the very last bit of that money I used to buy my next car. And so, or actually that's not true. The car that I wrecked, my grandparents had actually owned it. And I got the full amount of money from it because the car was totaled. That $15,000 helped me to go to school and live. And so, and then the money that I inherited from my grandparents, I spent on paying for all my student loans, laptop, and a mini iPad. That's what I spent my inheritance on. But that is how I was able to pay for school. The car that I totaled during my DWI, my grandparents, and I'm so grateful and I feel so incredibly blessed, they gave me that car and had it fully insured, and that money helped pay for school, my books, and for me to live when I went back to school at 6 months sober. But so I'm jumping all around. So I have all these different experiences happening. I'm sitting at the DMV, right? About to get this car. And I spent some of that money on a car too, right? So I'm sitting in the DMV and I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, yeah, I have to have it in my car for a year. Well, this is my second infraction, so it's supposed to be 3 years. He was like, I don't understand why you keep saying a year. I was like, that's what the paperwork said to me that you sent to me, was a year. He was like, oh, it did? He pulls up the paperwork. He sees that it says a year. He honors the paperwork. In front of me, calls headquarters and tells them to amend the paperwork for a year instead of 3 years. And I look at my mom and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? And, all right. So that's the beginning, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this shit is so sober trippy. So I talked to God about it. I was like, God, just keep putting all these sober trippy experiences in my life. Fast forward, I mean, that's happened the whole entire time. I've not wanted to drink or use drugs because I've just really enjoyed being sober. And I asked God to help me to see it as something I would always enjoy. And I have, right? And so it's so wild, right? So here I am. I'm taking this plant medicine class. I'm not equating oils with plants. It's all very intuitive. I'm just going off how I'm sensing it, very intuitively. And so how cool is it that all these plants keep coming into my life, and then I'm Googling them and they're like 100 million years old. The ginkgo, the magnolia, saffron, grapes, dude. It's so cool. It's so incredibly cool how this continues to happen for me, is these experiences. So it's moved from like birds to plants after I took the plant medicine. It helped me to launch a whole entire aromatherapy business. And just the very amazing things that have happened, like, I didn't really know how people were going to respond to the salt scrubs, and like I had made a batch. I was so excited about it because like I was learning how to do it, and just like in my kitchen with an emulsifier. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be emulsified and I can put it's emulsified. I was so excited, right? And so like I'm so excited. I'm making all this stuff, and my dear friend Leanne, same woman that I did the plant medicine through, Sacred Wild Woman. Her car broke down, and so her friend was helping her get up to Asheville for a pretty much an initiation she was doing for learning facilitation in doing like what is it called? Not a walkabout, but yeah, like a walkabout, like an Australian walkabout, but with people here in the United States. What's that called? Like not a pilgrimage, but like solos, where they take people, like she did solos and then learning to take other people on solos, right? So their own walkabouts. And this woman was helping her get up to Asheville and picking her up as well. And she walked into my house to use the bathroom. And her name was Leslie. And she works with, oh God, what is it? Sober, oh my God, it's going to drive me crazy. I'll think about it in just a minute. But she works for a really cool company in Charlotte. and sells a lot of clothing, a lot of sobriety stuff, and she was super awesome. And she smelled my salt scrub, and she was like, "What is that I'm smelling?" I was like, "It's one of my salt scrubs." She's like, "Can I see one?" I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, like you can have it." And she loved it. So I was so excited. Like, I just got all this really cool feedback. And Beyond Sober is the name of her company. And so yeah, it was so cool to meet her, and her and I talked about me working with her as well, potentially selling some of these products online, which I would absolutely love to. We just haven't gotten around to talking about it. I also talked to a lot of businesses in downtown Asheville that were interested in carrying my products that I'd love to connect with again to see, what that potentiality is. But all of these experiences have led me here to talking to you. I've shown up for my healing this whole entire time, and I'm in a space where I am celebrating it. I am so grateful to be celebrating it. All the healing that I've shown up for. And it's a lot of it. So yeah, so I would like to, I'm going to pull a card. Okay, and then we'll talk about the card a little bit. All right, so I'm sharing all my experience to say that you may have similar stuff. You may have, similar things happening to you that maybe you're not recognizing, and maybe this video gets to be in front of you and you're like, holy heck, like, I just didn't even think how these things connected, or how this could be related to my healing process, or, all the different things that come with these really cool experiences, and how I feel the universe, God, whatever that looks like for you, is constantly talking to us, and so it's really freaking cool. And I want to say this always, and you will hear people that do videos like this, we all will say, take what you need and leave the rest. Everything I say is just to share a piece of my story in the hopes that in some way, shape, or form it can help you as well, And so, and I'm excited to be able to be here to share my story, and so I think, when we talk about this, it's like when we have confidence in our abilities and our natural aptitudes and all the things that make us who we are, we start seeing the beauty in ourselves, And so, royalty, when we think of royalty, it's like a higher echelon. But in this case, you got to remember, whenever we're doing this, it's always relative to you. What does the royal you seem like to you? To me, that's like self-confidence. That's being able to uphold your boundaries. It's being able to step into your personal power. And your personal power is beautiful and calm and peaceful. It's not, it has this specific je ne sais quoi. It creates a flow. It's you, right? It's you. And so in that beautiful personal power, you're finding the boundaries, you're finding the self-respect, you're finding the things within you that you are appreciative of, that you get to share with other people. You're seeing how the universe is meeting you where you're at. And so, and the universe is showing you that you're just an awesome being living this life, and to just really honor that. And what are the ways that you are honoring that? And what are the ways you can honor that? So it's looking at yourself like a higher echelon of you. You know? Like a newer version of you, when you're recognizing the birds that maybe come into your life, when you're recognizing plants that you look at and you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like there's something different about that. Or you're looking at the sky and you're seeing it a little bit different if you watch my other video. Like just seeing things a little bit differently can shift everything. I saw that today where it was talking about like shifting just a little bit of something can completely help to change like a mundane pattern. You know? Okay. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, God and Divine White Light, God Light, thank you so much for helping me to continue to be a channel of your peace and love. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share these messages. And I hope they may reach the people's ears that need to hear them. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have protection in my space, in my viewers and listeners' space, and the space that we're creating together. I'd like to invite Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Metatron, and Dr. Mikao Usui into the space. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh. It's just like when I smell the oils. And it's crazy, right? I was trying to equate this the other day. The oils have an energetic signature. When I feel a channeling, it has a specific energetic signature. And it's all relative. Everything like I'm feeling is love. But it has a little, it all feels different though. It's really interesting. Like it's very, very intricate and also so simple. It's the craziest thing. Like I can tell when it's the oil. I can tell when it's channeling. I can tell when mediumship's happening. I can tell the different energies coming through my system, and I'm gonna be honest, like it's usually very through my humility, through my love. What's coming through is that, you know, and I believe it has to do with the light and doctrine. I always do. And even if I don't do it out loud, I am definitely doing it. I am definitely covering. I am definitely putting protection up around me. Protection in spaces where I am speaking. Anytime I am singing, I am always protecting it in love and light and peace and healing, because that is what I've always known, you know? Okay, so willing release. So this is a really cool thing too, because the dandelion is another plant that is so freaking old. This is one of the plants that aligned the oh God, oh gosh, what are they called? It's one of the wildflowers that help to support natural energy. Like in the times of the pyramids. Yeah, like that. And it's because, think about, like, one wisp of the dandelion holds so much of the cosmos. And so it creates a really cool anchor. Oh, God almighty, I get that so strongly. Whew, 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 whew. So it's really cool. So think about this. Think about first off, you can think about making a wish. Making a wish. But let's take that idea of making a wish and being able to, for instance, I know for me, talking to God about at the beginning of my sobriety, all these trippy things were happening very early on. And I was like, oh my God, just keep having that happen. And then the coolest thing happened is it would slow down in my own life and I could see it happening around me. And then I could celebrate it happening for other people, And it's this opportunity to understand this universal, amazing connection we have. And God has consistently shown me that, And so what's so cool is this opportunity, where it wasn't really me making a wish, but just talking to God about it, seeing these connections. So maybe you've had some of those same conversation and you're seeing those connections and it's really exciting and it's bringing you out of stagnancy and you're recognizing it, The Dandelion is also an amazing restaurant in Hendersonville. And it is connected to, the coolest nonprofit. I got to meet the people that work there. They're so awesome. At the Love and Respect grand opening, the ribbon cutting ceremony. And what the Dandelion is a restaurant where Safe Alliance? Oh gosh, I can't. But it's really cool. It's survivors of domestic violence, and then they have the opportunity to work in this restaurant. They sell their artwork as well. Next to the restaurant is a really freaking cool thrift store, right? So for me, finding the Dandelion, the food is absolutely amazing. It's such a cool place, and the people that work there are amazing. So for me, the Dandelion is so symbolic and awesome, And so what does the Dandelion look like for you? And the opportunity to see how seasons change too, right? So that willing release is also being able to recognize these things, the connections that they have, and be able to release old belief systems and patterns that are limiting you in any way, right? So there's that opportunity to see that. And I think, what's so cool is you see this whimsical, the connections, the connections between things, which I think is super awesome. And you got the bird up top too. So cool. So it was like I was willing to release this attachment to substances and pick up this new opportunity to connect with something different. And that can look different for everybody. This is just my story. I'm just sharing my story with you. However this relates to you is what's up, But in my story, that's kind of what happened to me is drop the substances and these new experiences are now prevalent in my life, And then, so this is the other thing. When you're starting to go through these experiences where you are kind of moving into some of this, right, where you're starting to have experiences where it's kind of getting you to look at your belief system or look at your patterns, and you're starting to recognize things a little bit differently. And this is what you're starting to feel because you have that self-respect. You're starting to feel more confident in being you. You're starting to look at the patterns because you're starting to have confidence in yourself. And when we do that, we automatically start looking at the things that maybe we would like to shift and change. That's just part of that process, you know. It was like when I worked at Wellness Promotion, the Center for Wellness Promotion. And when I first started, I started going to Deb Inslee, who was the social worker I worked with. She also ran the Center for Wellness Promotion. It was actually a department called Wellness Promotion, and before she retired, she's such a badass, she turned it into a center, right? So it became the Center for Wellness Promotion. But I would go to her and be like, Deb, I'm like not getting this stuff done. I'm not able to do this. I'm not getting this done. And she would be like, let me share with you what you are getting done. Let me help you to see this, you know? And like I was showing up on time, I was present because I was sober, you know? Like I was able to do those things, whereas before I was sober, I was not able to do that. I was not able to show up on time. Yeah, I'm still a little bit late, but I was able to show up on time. I was able to be present. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I went to her because like I felt like I wasn't able to meet my goals, even though I was showing up on time, even though I was doing all these things. And she was like, let me talk to you about all the things you're doing. And she went through my daily life with me. She had been paying attention. She was considering everything she was seeing. She was paying attention to my life so she could look at me and be like, you know what? Let's talk about what you do. You got 3 jobs. You're going to school full time. You're actively working on this program. You're getting it off the ground. You're giving me information so we can get everything together with how we're going to set up the room we have. You know, because she sat me down and was like, what are the things that helped you in the beginning of recovery that I can put in this room, right? And so we went through all of that. We built it from the ground up. And it was so freaking cool. Like, I look back on that, and our whole entire team and the whole entire student health center, such badasses, and anybody that got behind us when it was just me. At the very beginning, the first 6 months, right? Like I was the only student in the program. And everybody wanted to see numbers, but that's why I always say, if you can help one person, by God, holy heck, I was that one person. If you can help one person, by God, you done the damn thing, right? So as she started giving me this opportunity to see these things, it taught me this thing called strengths-based approach. It helped me to start looking at the things that were happening in my life that I was showing up for. And so when I started doing that, what automatically started happening is I started working on my perceived limitations. I started working on the things that I found like I could work on. And so naturally, I started to create new patterns and shifting some of my beliefs. And she's one of the main reasons why, and a lot of my philosophy is strengths-based approach. Now, I have shared with people I love that I am concerned and worried about them. I always will, because people also did that for me. And it means the world to me that they did, you know? And so that opportunity to be able to be supportive and share my opinion and share my love is so important, just like people shared their opinion and love with me. And it got me to start looking at the way things were affecting me. It was all very supportive. It felt like it was going in one ear out the other. But as time progressed, I started paying attention to those things people shared with me. Especially when I was sitting on that curb after my last drink, waiting for the cops to get there. And I started thinking about everybody that had shared, how much they cared about me and how worried they were for me, and took the time to say that. And it meant the world to me. I started calling those people and thanking them because they cared enough to say something. And so I care enough to say something. I care enough to support you, and I feel like what ends up happening as those shifts start occurring is you're then in the land between. You're in this land between, and it comes back to what I heard the other day, and it's like, rest in the resonance. Rest in the resonance. And the resonance of this, when you're shifting from your beliefs, and you got new beliefs, it can be what you make it, right? So you can look at it in ways where it's like, oh my God, I have this opportunity for growth. I have this opportunity to grow. I have this opportunity to see these new experiences and the new ways that these things can change my life. These new patterns, like these new opportunities to see things just a little bit differently. That happened for me when I picked up those oils and I smelled it. I didn't know that world. I was like, holy shit, what is this? This is so cool. And I just feel love. I just feel so much love. And I just had to sit with that. I'm like, wow. Like, I have to sit with that resonance because it's so freaking cool. And so anytime that you're shifting beliefs, don't get down and out about yourself or be upset that you're just seeing things or I can't believe I'm just now seeing this, or don't do that. Be grateful that you are in your growth game. The evolution of you is happening. That is a cool place to be. And so I got to start seeing this as a really cool thing at the beginning of my process. I got to equate it to this, like, the land in between when I'm leaving substances. It was like I'm leaving substances, but I'm entering into this new space, and it's cool. Like, I'm able to see it as cool, and the people around me helped me to see it was cool. My professor, because I was 26 and a half, I was pretty young. And I didn't really know. No, like, now it's super cool. There's this badass recovery culture that I think is so awesome that's relative to the stuff I'm speaking to. And I'm so grateful that it's a thing today. I'm really grateful it is. And I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for what the definition of recovery is. Because that gets to look different for everybody, And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that it has a wide message. It can reach a wide range of people. And the recovery movement is about everybody. And I think that was one of my most favorite things when I learned that there was something called a recovery movement. I was standing, it was so cool. When I was at the collegiate recovery community, when I was a student, I had this opportunity, and I thought it was to work at the Democratic National Convention. Now, they also had the RNC too, and they had the wellness recovery rooms as well. But I was at the DNC, it was here in Charlotte. I go to my orientation, I meet Aaron Kacharski, who's one of my best friends. And Tom Coderre, amazing person, in the recovery movement, in the political side of things. And I meet both of them. And I'll never forget them saying it. If you want to sustain recovery, get involved. And it was just like I kept hearing from the people around me, like the different ways that it was teaching me the land. I was in the land between, learning all these new things, you know? And so I thought that it was a job, so I like sent a resume and everything. Well, come to find out, it was a volunteer opportunity, which I was super down with. I love to do volunteer work too. And I meet Aaron Kacharski. We hang out that first day, and he's like, "You're a rock star. You can come as much as you want this week." Well, that allowed me to meet Greg Williams, who was filming the documentary, The Anonymous People. And during that time, he shared with us about the recovery movement. And because I kept saying to myself, like, self, how do I meet other people that are doing what I'm doing? Like, and then I learned about advocacy. And then young people in recovery. I became one of the founding members of that. You know, I learned about that through Aaron. And I was just invited on a plane ride to California to stay in California. Through the National Youth Recovery Foundation, they invited me, all expenses paid, right? I had never been to California, and I was like, "Can Chelsea come with me?" And they were like, "Yeah." So Chelsea and I flew a week later, 2 weeks later, to California, and that weekend we started Young People in Recovery. We were 2 of the 16 founding members. No clue. All the land between, right? So it was just like showing up, meeting Greg Williams, and he's telling me there's millions of people in this recovery movement. And I'm like, how do I get involved? And 2 weeks later, I'm meeting people from all across our country, recovering on all these different pathways, which allowed me to love AA, but also know all these different modalities work. I'll never forget looking at Chelsea like, dude, it's not just AA. Listen to this group. All these different ways they're staying sober. It was the coolest experience. Anyways, so many opportunities to experience the land between, right? And it helped me to release all these old belief patterns. I didn't need substances in my life. All these cool experiences were happening. And it allowed me to have self-confidence. It allowed me to have self-respect. It allowed me to build boundaries and learn more about boundaries and have lessons around boundaries and the opportunity to grow. You know, so just notice those things. Notice those things that the royal you, like you're just growing and changing into just the next level of who you are. You know, you're releasing some of that old stuff. And in the land between, appreciate it. You know, the land between is a really cool place to be. Like after I sat there with my professor and he's like, this is going to be one of the greatest assets of your life. And I was like, damn, man. Sober trippy, right? I'm just like, wow. Greatest assets in my life. Damn, I thought drinking was one of the greatest assets in my life. Right? I thought using drugs was one of the greatest assets in my life. But this man just looked at me and said sobriety and recovery is going to be one of the greatest assets of my life. And I sat with that. And I started going back and just thinking about the ways in which what he said resonated so strongly with me. I didn't understand it, but it resonated so incredibly strongly with me. And I'll never forget sitting there and feeling that. And then I was like, well, I love to talk to people. I'm really good at communicating. Let me talk to people around me about it. I didn't know that was advocacy. I didn't know what advocacy was. I had never heard that definition. I had never heard anything about it. So when I meet Greg Williams, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, there's millions of people. I was like, how do I meet him? Like, I was so excited to hear this, you know? So everybody's part of the recovery movement. And I've spent a lot of my career like helping to bring visibility to that alongside amazing colleagues, amazing friends, because that's what it's about. It's about sharing this idea of the reality of it versus like old outdated belief systems around it, you know? And so, yeah, it's super cool. And like I was saying, it's so cool. I'm seeing all these people talking about it now, you know, and I'm, you know, thinking about doing some TikToks on it, but I'm like, man, there's so many people already doing TikToks on it. I mean, I guess I can add to it. I can share stuff that I know as a professional in the behavioral health field, you know, the green and red flags, you know, that you see. I think that it's important to talk about those. And the reason why, you know, the idea of the green and red flags of addiction is so cool, because the idea came up because the green and red flags of a relationship. But how do you equate it to addiction and those things that you see that are the green and red flags when you're looking at if somebody is struggling with addiction? And the green and red flags of like the person that's helping that person, or the person and the loved ones in that person's life, and what are your green and red flags, and going over some of those things. Like, are you taking care of yourself, you know? Because a lot of times when we start helping other people and want to protect them and support them and making decisions and like supporting them and wanting them to stop, and then getting to a place where it's so hard because they're not in a place where they want to, what are you doing for you? Because you have to turn that attention back to yourself. Because, excuse me, by doing so, you are actually helping them. You're helping them because they get to see that you have redirected your energy and attention, and you are focusing on the things that you need to do to make sure you are healthy and taking care of your own needs. So in a lot of family groups, that's what you'll hear. In a lot of groups that are supporting family members, that's what you'll hear. And it's like, man, they won't stop. I can't get them to stop. It gets to be their decision. So what are you doing for you to be okay with that being their decision? You know? And that's a hard thing when you have exerted so much energy to help and support your loved ones. But at the same time, once you redirect your attention back to your needs and the things that you need to do to make sure you are safe, to make sure you are healthy, helps them. And it helps you to have acceptance in their decision making. And it allows you to have the things within your life that you need to make sure that you're not only taking care of yourself, but you're also not blaming or shaming yourself for the decisions they are making. It's extremely important. And this is the tough stuff. This is tough stuff, but talking about it makes it a hell of a lot easier in the long run. it makes it a heck of a lot easier to talk about it up front. It sure does. So, even in those circumstances, that's the land between. How do I redirect? How do I redirect my attention? What are the things that I do for myself while my loved one's struggling with substance use disorder? Small steps. Anything that you can do for you. Take a bath. Do positive affirmations. Set intentions. Consider what is in your control and what is outside of your control. And honor that. So you're experiencing the land between in that space. You know? But by doing that, your loved one is seeing that. Your loved one's seeing that you're doing that. And that could help them. That can help them. So it's really important to take the time for you. What are you ready to release? Are there things, you know, that that come to mind when you are considering your belief systems, shifting your beliefs? Maybe the way you're doing something is no longer working. That's okay. Sit with it. You don't have to make changes right now, or maybe you do, right? So that's the other thing. You may be prompted to do so. Or you have time to sit with something and allow yourself the space to take the next steps. So there's going to be all different circumstances. But ultimately, you're getting back to honoring you. You're getting back to honoring what you need. You're getting back to a space where you're looking at your green and red flags. Especially, check it with substance use disorder. Look at it. Your own green and red flags. Write down what could be, go to the relationship, green and red flags, and then just shift it for addiction, substance use disorder. Equate it to being a loved one of somebody that struggles with addiction. And figure out what are your green and red flags. Put them in a column. Are any of these things happening right now? And allow yourself to be in the land between. Okay? All right. Deuces.